heroes face the test of beautiful women. 3 extraordinary beauties all throw themselves at once. Any man would find it hard to resist such temptation. However, just 10 minutes ago, Pei Ling was almost seduced by their beauty. Fortunately, Ouyang Shanxing arrived in time, which allowed Pei Ling to keep his head. Seeing that Pei Ling was unharmed, Ouyang Shanxing comforted him while inquiring about Shui Ying's whereabouts. However, Pei Ling looked embarrassed. I was originally holding Shui Ying's senior brother's staff, but somehow Shui Ying's senior brother suddenly disappeared, and Shui Ying, who was closest to me, didn't come to support either. Could he also be in trouble? Ouyang Shanxing, who learned about the situation, didn't linger too long. He pulled Pei Ling and headed towards the exit. However, the next second, the sight before them frightened them to their core. Countless vines emerged from the dream forest, directly attacking Pei Ling and Ouyang Shanxing. The two could only hurriedly dodge. It's safe to say that Pei Ling's luck was quite unfortunate. The vengeful spirits formed by the resentment of the cultivators who died in the dream forest have only awakened twice in the past century. Pei Ling encountered them on his first visit. With the exit right in front of their eyes, the vengeful spirits directly blocked the way, followed by numerous vines attacking Pei Ling and Ouyang Shanxing. Pei Ling quickly pulled out the life-loathing blade to defend himself. However, things didn't go as planned. Pei Ling's life-loathing blade couldn't cut through the vines at all. Fortunately, Ouyang Shanxing had strong power and barely managed to withstand them. Just as Pei Ling marveled at Ouyang Shanxing's strength, a small vine pierced through Pei Ling's leg without any sign. In the blink of an eye, 3 Li Liu suddenly appeared in front of Pei Ling, throwing themselves at him. Pei Ling instantly became immersed and unable to extricate himself. Fortunately, Ouyang Shanxing timely reminded him, which pulled Pei Ling back from the illusion. Pei Ling was shocked. That was close. I almost fell into it again. Seeing how persistent the vengeful spirits were, it seemed unlikely that both of them could escape alive. It's a pity that such a good senior sister died. Pei Ling hurriedly asked Ouyang Shanxing to go first, as he had the 100 miles escape talisman from Jinjinshan, so escaping shouldn't be a problem. However, Ouyang Shanxing was stubborn, and she insisted on helping Pei Ling obtain the cold marrow fire. She was determined to do it. Ouyang Shanxing placed the black coffin she was carrying on the ground, and as the coffin gradually opened, countless black chains burst out instantly, shattering the vengeful spirit's vines in an instant. Taking advantage of the vengeful spirit's pain, Ouyang Shanxing pulled Pei Ling and swiftly escaped from the dream forest. The power of the black coffin was not something Ouyang Shanxing could control at the moment. Although they managed to escape, Ouyang Shanxing had lost a considerable amount of vitality. Seeing Ouyang Shanxing coughing up blood, Pei Ling hurriedly approached to inquire, but Ouyang Shanxing said it was nothing serious. However, the matter of opening the black coffin must not be disclosed to anyone. Pei Ling naturally agreed wholeheartedly. Just then, Fang Ji and Shuang also approached. Seeing their seemingly calm and insincere consolation, Pei Ling's anger burned within him. He had initially thought Shuang had encountered an accident that forced her to abandon him. Now it's clear, this little brat clearly intends to harm me. Shuang, who appears honest and friendly on the surface, actually has malicious intentions in his heart. During their time in the dream forest, Shuang deliberately abandoned Pei Ling, almost causing him to be lost in the illusion. And now, on the yin-yang serpent vessel, he is scheming in his mind, thinking about how to quietly make Pei Ling fall. You see, the yin-yang serpent vessel has only one narrow path where the yin and yang energies neutralize each other. If one accidentally falls off, it's undoubtedly a certain death for a cultivator in the Foundation establishment realm. Even Fang Ji, who is nearby, has repeatedly hinted to Pei Ling through words that it would be best to give up on obtaining the cold marrow fire. Otherwise, there is a high possibility of falling off the yin-yang serpent vessel, leaving no trace of their remains. Only Ouyang Shanxing, while doing her best to protect Pei Ling, doesn't forget to warn Fang Ji that if he dares to be perfunctory, she won't be polite. Seeing Ouyang Shanxing getting angry, Fang Ji can only obediently back down. With the precedent set, although Shuang has the intention to push Pei Ling down, he also doesn't dare to act rashly. However, what Shuang never expected was that Pei Ling would fall down on his own. But before falling, he didn't forget to blame Shuang. This move instantly left Shuang at a loss. Seeing that Ouyang Shanxing was about to get angry, Shuang hurriedly explained to him, saying that he didn't do anything. However, Ouyang Shanxing believed that Shuang pushed Pei Ling down. Just as the two of them argued, Pei Ling used the vampire vanishing technique to fly back up. Such a brilliant vampire vanishing technique left everyone present dumbfounded. Pei Ling didn't waste any time. As soon as he came up, he ran to Ouyang Shanxing and complained, firmly accusing Shuang of pushing him down, and asking Ouyang Shanxing to help him settle the matter. Shuang wanted to explain, but Ouyang Xianqing didn't give him a chance to explain. Instead, she took out the bone-blooming flower and was ready to punish Shuang. Fang Ji hurriedly pleaded on behalf of Shuang, but was stopped by Ouyang Xianqing. Shuang, although unwilling, had no choice but to endure. I didn't expect senior sister to trust this kid so much. Ouyang Xianqing directly infused the bone-blooming flower into Shuaying's body. As a scream rang out, Shuaying's body was instantly riddled with wounds from the chains formed by the bone-blooming flower's illusion. Fortunately, Shuang has cultivation in the foundation realm, so he can withstand this level of pain. At this moment, Pei Ling had a smug look on his face. Thinking you can deceive me? Compared to the tricks the system plays on people, you're simply weak. After teaching Shuang a lesson, Pei Ling and the others continued their journey towards the Bone Crane Marsh. And the cold marrow fire was located in the center of the marsh. Seeing the cold marrow fire right in front of them, Pei Ling's eyes lit up with excitement. Seeing Pei Ling's excited expression, Shuang became furious, thinking that the mere cold marrow fire was nothing to be amazed about. He really hasn't seen much in the world. Just then, Ouyang Xianqing instructed Shuang to set up a formation to expel the coldine energy absorbed by the cold marrow fire. With a loud shout from Shuang, several formation flags swelled in the wind, directly inserted into the Bone Crane Marsh, enclosing the cold marrow fire within. While Shuang was setting up the formation, Ouyang Xianqing reminded Pei Ling that the process of assimilating the fire would be painful, but he must persevere, not to disappoint the efforts of the sect master. Pei Ling agreed and also asked the question whether he should directly swallow the fire or do something else. Upon hearing this, everyone was speechless. After preparing for so long, they didn't expect Pei Ling to not even know the basic fire absorption technique. Fang Ji mocked, "If you don't even know the fire absorption technique, we might as well go back home." Ouyang Xianqing was also puzzled. Pei Ling could only awkwardly explain that he was still new to the path of alchemy and hadn't had the chance to learn yet. A helpless expression appeared on Ouyang Xianqing's face, just as he was about to give on-site instruction, but Fang Ji interrupted and suggested taking Pei Ling back first. After all, for a cultivator in the foundation establishment realm, it would take at least half a month to learn the fire absorption technique. Seeing Fang Ji's careless attitude, Ouyang Xianqing directly slapped Fang Ji's face. Half a month is half a month. Seeing the situation, Shuang didn't dare to say much, and could only curse silently in his heart. "You wretched servant, you're so good to a cultivator in the foundation establishment realm. You're truly obedient to Shinjinshan's dog, but you don't have much time left." Ouyang Xianqing then began the on-site instruction directly. Once she finished explaining the fire absorption technique verbally, he planned to give Pei Ling a detailed explanation. However, Pei Ling's system had already recorded the fire absorption technique completely. Just as Pei Ling was thinking about how to explain to senior sister that he had already learned the fire absorption technique, Shuang finished setting up the formation. Ouyang Xianqing didn't hesitate, and took the core formation flag and compass from Shuang's hand, using the bone-blooming flower he had planted earlier to seal Shuang in a cocoon. After all, Shuang had caused trouble several times before, so this was a precautionary measure. It must be said that this senior sister is truly reliable. Ouyang Xianqing activated the formation directly. Under the reinforcement of the formation, the coldine energy absorbed by the cold marrow fire in the Bone Crane Marsh was successfully expelled. After purifying the cold marrow fire, Ouyang Xianqing planned to take Pei Ling to the Yin Mushroom Cave. To give Pei Ling enough time to study the fire absorption technique, Fang Ji expressed concern that the journey to the Yin Mushroom Cave was fraught with danger, and it would be difficult for them to protect Pei Ling's safety. However, Ouyang Xianqing remained resolute. "I will open the coffin and face the enemy at critical moments." Such a heavy price made the two of them astonished. After all, in the Dream Forest earlier, Ouyang Xianqing was severely injured after using the black coffin just once. What an incredible senior sister. Pei Ling naturally didn't want senior sister to get hurt again, and immediately expressed his desire to try the fire absorption technique. Seeing Pei Ling acting so recklessly, Ouyang Xianqing, who had taken great care of Pei Ling, naturally tried to dissuade him strongly. However, Pei Ling insisted on going his own way, and directly summoned the system to start absorbing the cold marrow fire. Fang Ji, who had ill intentions from the beginning, instead praised Pei Ling in every possible way. After all, even the most talented genius would not be able to succeed. What awaited Pei Ling was only to be burned to ashes by the backlash of the fire. However, within a second, Fang Ji was harshly slapped in the face. Under the control of the system, Pei Ling's process of absorbing the fire seemed effortless, without even a hint of pain on his face. Little did they know that behind Pei Ling's calm facade, He was already in unbearable pain. The taste of burning flames was not easy to endure. He wanted to stop, but the system paid no attention to his suffering. Seeing that Pei Ling was about to successfully absorb the cold marrow fire, Shuang, who was trapped by Ouyang Xianxing, immediately became restless. If Pei Ling succeeded in absorption, wouldn't all his efforts along the way be in vain? And if Pei Ling grew stronger, the Pei family line would naturally rise as well. Then his decision to join Miao Chengyang would become meaningless. For his own future, Shuang didn't care about much else. He directly forced himself to break free from the restraints and kill Pei Ling. However, in the moment he tried to break free, Ouyang Xianxing also sensed Shuang's murderous intent, and he immediately moved to stop Shuang. Fortunately, Miao Chengyang arrived in time to save Shuang. Knowing that she was no match, Ouyang Xianxing decided to hold on as long as she could, giving Fang Ji the opportunity to take Pei Ling away. Fang Ji agreed verbally, but in his hand, he raised 2 steel needles and aimed them straight at Pei Ling. Fortunately, Ouyang Xianxing reacted in time, saving Pei Ling from immediate demise. In the highest cultivation level, Miao Chengyang did not rush to make a move. He wanted Pei Ling to experience the feeling of being betrayed and abandoned by everyone first, and then slowly torment him to death, to resolve the hatred in his heart. Fang Ji, with a flattering expression, chimed in, "Senior sister, the two of us combined would still not be a match for the Miao family's head. A wise person knows the current situation and acts accordingly. Why don't we join forces and serve under the Miao family's head?" Ouyang Xianxing's heart sank. Although she was a woman, she would never betray her sect, and her principle was as firm as a rock. How could she stoop to the level of collaborating with you? Seeing that Ouyang Xianxing was so ignorant, Miao Chengyang no longer held back, and directly launched an attack against Ouyang Xianxing. Ouyang Xianxing quickly brought out the black coffin to defend herself. She released the black iron chains from the black coffin once again, but Miao Chengyang easily evaded them. Ouyang Xianxing discovered that Miao Chengyang was unexpectedly using a similar body technique as Pei Ling. The gap in their realms is not so easily bridged. Just when Ouyang Xianxing was in despair, Miao Chengyang suddenly disappeared into thin air, leaving behind a puzzled Fang Ji and Shuang. Equally perplexed, Miao Chengyang found himself in an illusionary realm, where a woman in a yellow dress was embroidering and calmly spoke. "Come and have a seat, Miao family head." With Miao Chengyang taken away by Jiao and I, the situation on the battlefield immediately reversed. Ouyang Xianxing's strength was already above that of Shuang and Fang Ji. The only reason they dared to betray their sect was because they had Miao Chengyang as their backing. Now that Miao Chengyang was nowhere to be found, Ouyang Xianxing naturally wouldn't hold back. She directly opened the black coffin, revealing a young girl in a red dress inside. As the young girl raised her arm, countless bone spikes shot toward them. Fang Ji hurriedly brought out the auspicious pattern treasure furnace to defend, but with their cultivations, I'm afraid they can't hold on for much longer, and can only pray in their hearts for Miao Chengyang to come back quickly. Little did they know that at this moment, Miao Chengyang had already been pulled into an illusionary realm by Jiao and I. In the illusion, Miao Chengyang looked at the person in front of him, and guessed that this person should be Jiao and I. Under the command of Li Liu, he immediately asked Jiao and I, "What is the purpose of bringing me here?" Jiao Ni's response was equally direct, "Don't touch Pei Ling." Miao Chengyang was shocked. Could it be that Pei Ling's backing is not Jin Jinshan, but Li Liu? But if he doesn't kill Pei Ling, he will never be able to resolve his inner demon. Miao Chengyang, unwilling to accept this, tried to refuse, but found an inexplicable wound on his face. Upon closer inspection, he realized that Jiao and I had stabbed 3 needles into the handkerchief with Miao Chengyang's image. Miao Chengyang was about to resist, but was struck by an invisible force and sent flying. Jiao and I slowly said, "If Pei Ling had failed to absorb the fire just now, I wouldn't have saved him or stopped you. Unfortunately, your luck isn't good. First, you must not reveal what happened today, and second, you must not make a move until Pei Ling enters the inner sect. If you make these 2 solemn vows, I will let you leave." Miao Chengyang inquired, "So you mean I can kill Pei Ling once he enters the inner sect?" Jiao and I did not deny it. "If Pei Ling dies by your hand, then he is just a worthless individual who doesn't deserve the attention of the master." Although Miao Chengyang was unwilling, he had no choice but to accept it. He could only let that kid live a few more days. He immediately made the 2 solemn vows, and just as he was about to leave, Jiao and I stopped him. "Now that you're here, drink this cup of tea before you go." The scene shifts. Shuang and Fang Ji, who are still struggling, are on the verge of death. Shuang immediately suggests using Pei Ling as a shield. Without hesitation, Fang Ji releases the glimmering glimworm goo towards Pei Ling. Seeing this, Ouyang Xianxing quickly controls the red-clad girl to stop the glimmering glimworm goo. However, the glimmering glimworm goo easily dodges the attack. This momentary distraction gives Fang Ji an opportunity to launch a surprise attack. When Ouyang Shanxing regains her senses, she is sent flying by Fang Ji's punch, which is adorned with 3 steel needles. Pei Ling, who has finally absorbed the cold marrow fire completely, endures the pain and dodges the glimmering Glimworm Gu's attack. Just as he is about to draw the life-loathing blade for a counterattack, he realizes that the life-loathing blade has dropped from his hand. Upon closer inspection, he sees that his body is covered in burns from the cold marrow fire, rendering him unable to even hold the knife. In this life-or-death moment, Pei Ling has a moment of inspiration and directly summons the system to cultivate the bloodthirsty blade technique. In an instant, Shuang, who is already severely injured, is slain by Pei Ling under the control of the system, and all of Shui Ying's bloodthirsty aura is absorbed completely. Pei Ling doesn't waste any time. Using another move of the bloodthirsty blade technique, he absorbs all of Fang Ji's bloodthirsty aura. Just then, a hand pats Pei Ling's shoulder, interrupting his system cultivation. This method was also taught by Pei Ling to Ouyang Shanxing. After all, this damn system doesn't discriminate. Who knows what outrageous things it might do, only to see a red-clad girl with bloodshot eyes, smirking at him evilly. In the next second, countless bone spikes burst forth instantly. Pei Ling quickly takes out the life-loathing blade to defend himself. Fortunately, he had absorbed the bloodthirsty aura of Shuang and Fang Ji earlier, allowing him to barely withstand the attack. Seeing that the red-clad girl has lost control, suddenly several iron chains shoot out from the black coffin, directly pulling the red-clad girl into the coffin. Pei Ling's heart is filled with mixed emotions. Could it be that it's Wu Lu again? Little did he know that Wu Lu had been punished by Li Liu for acting recklessly. Now, Jiao and I has taken over the care of Pei Ling. Pei Ling is overjoyed, thinking of embracing Jiao Ni's favor, but he is kicked away by Jiao and I. The master doesn't like useless people. Before you have demonstrated more value, you should count yourself lucky. Pei Ling is speechless. Undeterred, Pei Ling still wants to ask if Li Liu has any new techniques to impart to him, but he discovers that Jiao and I has long since disappeared without a trace. The scene shifts, returning to the courtyard where Pei Ling recounts the process of obtaining the fire to Jin Jinshan. Jin Jinshan is suddenly filled with anger. After all my years of painstaking cultivation, it turns out these are 2 ungrateful freeloaders. It serves you right to be influenced by the external demonic energy. As for Miao Qingyang being taken away by Jiao and I, it naturally vents Jin Jinshan's frustration. He knows full well Jiao Ni's capabilities, and Miao Qingyang will suffer even if he doesn't die. Seeing this, Pei Ling hastily asks about the repayment of his fine. Unexpectedly, Jin Jinshan shows no sense of martial ethics. He had promised to pay the fine on Pei Ling's behalf if he succeeded in obtaining the fire, but now he resolutely says, "Junior brother Pei, you now have cold marrow fire. What is a mere 100,000 fine? Senior brother guarantees that you will be able to repay it." Pei Ling is instantly speechless. Meanwhile, Miao Qingyang not only suffers from serious injuries, but also falls victim to the venom of a poisonous insect. Miao Qingyang, infuriated and embarrassed, immediately ordered his disciples to slaughter all of Pei Ling's relatives, so that Pei Ling could also experience the pain of losing loved ones. At this moment, a disciple stepped forward to advise, "This may not be appropriate. If word spreads, others will think that the sect leader can't deal with Pei Ling directly, and can only take it out on his family. If the Zhou family hears about this, the status of our sect might be compromised. Besides, Pei Ling has often been suppressed within the clan in the past, so it might be difficult to disturb his state of mind by targeting his family." Upon hearing this, Miao Qingyang realized the reasoning behind it. The disciple continued, "But I have another idea. There's a female cultivator in the outer sect who has some connection to Pei Ling. Below the foundation realm, how many people can resist the allure of beauty and pleasure, food, color, and sex? Throughout history, how many people can resist the temptation of beauty? In a courtyard in the outer sect, numerous foundation establishment realm cultivators are surrounding a beautiful woman playing the zither. It is unclear whether they are attracted by the melodious sound of the zither, or by the alluring curves of her well-endowed chest." Cheers continuously erupt from the scene, as the party involved, Sun Yinlan, although appearing gentle and virtuous on the surface, is inwardly full of disdain. They are all waste at the 3rd or 4th level of the foundation establishment realm. When will I, with my appearance and talent, be able to attract the attention of true talents? Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound breaks the harmonious atmosphere. The sycophantic followers hastily shield Sun Yinlan behind them, acting as protectors of the beauty. Upon seeing the newcomer's foundation realm cultivation, this group of protectors scatters in an instant. Only the senior sycophant, Pei Hongyan, remains undeterred, standing in front of Sun Yinlan. However, a sycophant is ultimately just a sycophant. Upon realizing that the newcomer possessed foundation realm cultivation, Sun Yinlan forcefully pushed Pei Hongyan aside, and immediately threw herself into the arms of this stranger, showing off her coquettishness. Little did she expect that this person had no understanding of tenderness and appreciation. With a single press of the head, he pinned Sun Inlan to the ground. In the outer sect, there are countless people like you, seducing a few wastes, thinking that you have the qualification to climb high branches. Here's a task for you: seduce Pei Ling within half a month, otherwise, die. This sudden turn of events left Pei Hongyan instantly flustered. The scene shifts. Pei Ling, who is in the midst of purchasing alchemy materials, suddenly feels a warm sensation behind him. Before Pei Ling can react, Sun Inlan begins to touch him up and down. Pei Ling hastily pushes her away, and Sun Inlan falls to the ground. She quickly puts on a pitiful look, taking advantage of the situation. Pei Ling is speechless. If he accidentally injures her, he'll have to report himself to the disciplinary hall, which might result in an additional fine. Helpless, Pei Ling steps forward, assists her, and apologizes. Seeing Pei Ling's reaction, Sun Inlan gains confidence instantly. Indeed, all men are the same. She then puts a love pill into her cherry-like mouth and starts seducing Pei Ling. With her already curvaceous figure, combined with this innate seductive energy, who could resist being captivated? It's no wonder Pei Hongyan is willing to be a sycophant. But then he has a second thought. Sun Inlan previously hated me to the bone. There must be ulterior motives behind her proactive actions. Could it be a trap? Is she trying to ensnare me? Without wasting a moment, Pei Ling swiftly escapes. Sun Inlan, who is tasked with the mission, cannot easily let Pei Ling go. No matter where Pei Ling hides, Sun Inlan can find him. Unable to bear it any longer, Pei Ling tries to hide in the men's bathhouse to take a bath. But even so, Sun Inlan manages to sneak in. Like a startled bird, Pei Ling hurriedly flees to the Hall of Laws and Regulations. After all, there are restrictions here, and each person has their own designated space. However, to Pei Ling's surprise, he encounters Li Liu in this place. A face full of embarrassment, Pei Ling quickly explains that he didn't mean to peek, and Li Liu doesn't get angry either, as they have met candidly on multiple occasions before, all of which happened without Pei Ling's knowledge. Upon seeing that Pei Ling managed to break free from her spell, Li Liu visibly pauses for a moment, but then she thinks to herself, this is actually better. From the practice session earlier, even if I manipulate Pei Ling in dual cultivation, his cultivation level didn't improve much. Why not take this opportunity to engage in dual cultivation with Pei Ling while he's conscious, and see how it turns out? If anything goes wrong, I can just erase Pei Ling's memories afterward. However, Li Liu's contemplation only adds to the already awkward Pei Ling's stress. The intangible sense of pressure instinctively drives Pei Ling to escape, but as soon as Pei Ling turns around, Li Liu calls him to a halt, facing Li Liu's beckoning gesture. Although Pei Ling strongly resists internally, he doesn't dare to disobey. He can only approach Li Liu with a trembling heart. However, these few short steps make Pei Ling feel as if he has traveled thousands of miles. What does Li Liu really want from me? Could it be that she discovered my excessive use of her name, and has now come to seek retribution? To his surprise, Li Liu opens her mouth and asks him to perform the 6 Desires secret technique. Pei Ling is instantly bewildered. What is this 6 Desires secret technique? Could it be that Jiao and I forgot to teach me the technique back then? At this moment, Pei Ling still doesn't know that the nameless technique is the 6 Desires secret technique. With a helpless expression, Pei Ling can only explain that he doesn't know the 6 Desires secret technique at all, and through a secret method, Li Liu discovers that Pei Ling is not lying. With a puzzled expression on her face, Li Liu assumes that Pei Ling has just awakened, and his memories haven't fully recovered yet. But this doesn't pose a problem for Li Liu. She directly stands up and grabs Pei Ling's neck. This startles Pei Ling, making him break out in a cold sweat. However, the next second, Li Liu kisses him directly. A familiar sensation washes over Pei Ling inexplicably, and spiritual energy surges within his body. Could it be that the nameless technique is the 6 Desires secret technique? Should I use the system to automatically cultivate it? No, I can't let go of such a rare opportunity. I've endured enough. It's time for me to show my heroism. Afterward, regardless of everything, Pei Ling embraces Li Liu. With the sound of flowing water, they directly begin practicing the 6 Desires secret technique in the pool. And at that moment, Li Liu finally experiences the pleasure of dual cultivation for the first time. The surge of spiritual energy's impact overwhelms her, making her lose herself in the moment. And with Pei Ling's extraordinary talent, he perseveres for half a month, even in a state of sleeplessness and non-stop cultivation. However, even so, he still fails to satisfy Li Liu, because Li Liu feels that this half month of practice hasn't brought back the same feeling they had during their first time together. This surprises Pei Ling, as he has displayed all 18 forms of martial arts, yet it still wasn't enough to satisfy her. Li Liu, after tidying her hair, directly throws her clothes onto Pei Ling's face, and says, "You can leave now." She adopts an attitude that suggests she no longer recognizes him once her pants are on. Although Pei Ling feels helpless, he can only force a smile. After all, if he continues, he's afraid he'll be completely drained. However, what Pei Ling never expected was that just as he was about to leave, supporting his waist, Li Liu suddenly wants to erase his memories. Naturally, Pei Ling strongly opposes it. "I'm almost completely worn out, and you not only show no concern, but you also want to forcefully erase my memories? How is that fair?" However, Li Liu pays no attention to Pei Ling's questioning. When Pei Ling regains consciousness once again, he feels a sharp pain in his waist. "Why did I fall asleep? And why does my waist hurt so much again? Wait, why did I say again? I can't figure it out." Pei Ling decides to stop thinking about it. He doesn't even know how long he slept for, but he assumes that Sun Yinlan must have already left. The most urgent matter is to leave this sub-age. Suddenly, a rickshaw blocks Pei Ling's path and states that within Hall of All Laws, you cannot leave without making a purchase. Pei Ling is speechless for a moment, but then he thinks, this kind of strong-arm selling tactic is actually in line with the style of this underworld sect. Consider it spending money to avoid trouble. The only regret is that the techniques in Zabage can only be viewed after payment. Otherwise, he could have enjoyed the entire Hall of All Laws by himself. Forced into a corner, Pei Ling settles for a cheap technique to pass the time. Just then, a technique that could plunder the surrounding vitality to heal oneself or others catches Pei Ling's attention. However, this technique is not convenient to cultivate. If one is not careful, they might inadvertently absorb the plants and creatures within the sect, resulting in hefty fines. Pei Ling even imagines himself being hunted down because he can't afford the penalty. With a helpless expression, Pei Ling has no choice but to shift his focus to other techniques. After searching for a while, Pei Ling finally finds a cheap technique that only costs 800 spirit stones. When he sees that the content of the technique involves manipulation and feigning death, Pei Ling's mind suddenly flashes with some images. Pei Ling feels puzzled. Did I forget something important? As Pei Ling tries to recall, he can't remember anything. With a helpless expression, Pei Ling decides to buy the technique first and study it slowly later. The most urgent matter is still refining pills to sell and pay the fine. However, what perplexes Pei Ling is that he only slept for a while, yet the guardian of the tower claims that he stayed inside for half a month. Reluctant to accept it, Pei Ling wants to question it, thinking that the guardian might have remembered wrong, but the guardian informs him there was only one person who entered naked and came out wearing clothes, and that's you. Pei Ling is instantly speechless. Half a month has passed while he was accumulating the fine. The only thing worth celebrating is that Sun Yinlan, who was bothering him, has disappeared. Confirmed of this, Pei Ling doesn't want to delay for a moment and rushes back to refine pills. After half a month passes, Pei Ling plans to find Jin Jinshan and inquire about the distribution of the pill's earnings. However, he is greeted by a patient wrapped in bandages. Just as Pei Ling was about to ask about the injuries, Jin Jinshan interrupts him and informs Pei Ling that he has taken care of the matters regarding the sect. Furthermore, for the 10 top-grade bone-tempering pills from the previous time, Pei Ling can exchange one for a medium-grade spirit stone, and one medium-grade spirit stone can be exchanged for 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. Pei Ling is stunned on the spot. He didn't expect that the pills he refined would be so valuable. He immediately hands over the extra 120 top-grade bone-tempering pills to Jin Jinshan for sale. This surprises Jin Jinshan greatly. These rare top-grade pills, which are hard to come by, Pei Ling was able to refine so many in half a month. Indeed, he has exceptional talent. If that's the case, ordinary markets definitely won't be able to handle it. So the only option is to sell at Wanhuisi. Wanhuisi is a place outside the jurisdiction of the 9 great sects, a holy land for wandering cultivators to gather, and also a lawless place for illicit transactions among various sects. Upon hearing this, Pei Ling immediately loses interest in Wanhuisi. Just then, Jin Jinshan suddenly realizes that Pei Ling's cultivation has already reached the peak of the 6th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Such astonishing talent in cultivation truly frightens Jin Jinshan. As for Pei Ling, the person involved, he is equally puzzled, as he only refined pills for half a month. How could he progress so rapidly? Seeing this, Jin Jinshan sincerely arranges things for Pei Ling and lets him go back to continue refining pills. At the same time, he plans in his mind to find a way to help Pei Ling obtain a high-grade cultivating jade pill, preferably even acquire the pill formula. After all, such a monstrous talent is rare to come by. Back at his residence, Pei Ling sees that the matter of the fine is almost settled, and decides to first improve his cultivation. So he opens the system and begins cultivating the bone tempering technique. However, a prompt from the system instantly gives Pei Ling a bad feeling. The prompt indicates a lack of the breakthrough pill, cultivating jade pill, and the system will gift him a high-grade cultivating jade pill for free. Immediately, the system takes control of Pei Ling's body and dashes out. On the other side, Jin Sumian, who has just finished closed-door cultivation, eagerly shows her sister the high-grade cultivating jade pill she refined. Naturally, her sister praises her. In her excitement, Jin Sumian wanted her sister to take her to Gu Abyss to obtain the cold marrow fire, but her sister informs her that Jin Jinshan has already taken it. However, Jin Jinshan compensated them with 9 dark cold spring water. Although the 9 dark cold spring water is superior to the cold marrow fire in tempering the body and purifying the soul, Jin Sumian is currently focused solely on pill refining, which inevitably leads to some resentment. Her sister can only comfort her by saying that Jin Jinshan refuses to disclose who he snatched it from, only mentioning that it was ordered by Li Liu, and there have been rumors that Li Liu has already emerged from seclusion. I doesn't want to make a big fuss about the matter either. She can teach Jin Jinshan a lesson on your behalf. Seeing that Jin Sumian's expression hasn't improved, sister can only leave in the name of teaching Jin Jinshan a lesson. Before leaving, she doesn't forget to remind Jin Sumian to concentrate and focus during cultivation. Dissatisfaction in her heart, Jin Sumian has no choice but to settle for second best and immerse the 9 dark cold spring water in the hot spring. Suddenly, a talisman seal appears out of thin air. Alert, Jin Sumian quickly asks who it is. Upon learning that it's her senior sister Liu Qiang, Jin Sumian unabashedly sits on the shore and talks with her senior sister. Liu Qiang informs Jin Sumian that there's news about the Foundation Realm pill formula, but Jin Sumian needs to personally join Zhang Shua's team and go to Hanshi Mountain Villa for a mission. It is said that the whereabouts of the Crimson Beard Vine can be found there, and Zhang Shua guarantees that if she can refine 2 Foundation Realm pills for him, both the Crimson Beard Vine and the Foundation Realm pill formula will be hers. Upon hearing this, Jin Sumian immediately agrees. After seeing off Liu Qiang, Jin Sumian doesn't dare to delay either, and immediately enters the hot spring to prepare for absorbing the 9 dark cold spring water. However, absorbing the 9 dark cold spring water is not easy. The icy water continuously rushes like a sharp net, as if countless whips are simultaneously lashing her body, and this is just the first step. Even so, Jin Sumian persists through gritted teeth. Suddenly, a figure silently walks in, and without any regard, starts searching through Jin Sumian's clothes left on the shore. Although Jin Sumian notices in time, she is helpless, as she can't move during the tempering process. At this moment, Jin Sumian can only pray that this person doesn't have any inappropriate intentions towards her. Otherwise, her innocence would be compromised. However, what she never expected was that the person not only swallows the high-grade cultivating jade pill she worked so hard to refine, but then walks straight toward Jin Sumian in the hot spring. As the distance between them narrows, both of them simultaneously recognize each other. Although Pei Ling is unwilling in his heart, the system doesn't care about these human affairs. It directly controls Pei Ling, stripping him of his clothes, and then leaping into the air towards Jin Sumian. Pei Ling is greatly alarmed in his heart. This darn system really leaves me no way out. You should know that Jin Sumian's sister is a formidable woman whom even Jin Jinshan fears, and Jin Sumian in the hot spring is even more shocked and terrified. If the story continues like this, her innocence may not be preserved. Fortunately, the goal of this darn system is quite clear. After jumping in, it doesn't do anything inappropriate, just sitting beside Jin Sumian, swiftly grabbing the 9 dark cold spring water. In just a moment, Pei Ling has taken 3/4 of the 9 dark cold spring water in the hot spring. This greatly angers Jin Sumian. What's even more infuriating is that, after absorbing the 9 dark cold spring water, Pei Ling doesn't leave but releases the cold marrow fire in front of Jin Sumian to continue cultivation. Jin Sumian can't bear it any longer, being deprived of opportunities time and time again. Even if it means backlash and risking her life, she must teach him a lesson. Angrily, Jin Sumian stands up and attacks Pei Ling, completely disregarding whether she is clothed or not. However, the next moment, Pei Ling presses her down into the hot spring. Poor Jin Sumian has never suffered such humiliation before. The next morning, Pei Ling's intense cultivation finally comes to an end. Although the process was quite inhumane, the results are not bad. Not only did he break through to the 7th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, but his bones have also successfully evolved into the top-grade jade bones. However, the aftermath of this situation is really giving Pei Ling a headache. At this moment, Pei Ling can only pray that Jin Sumian doesn't encounter any trouble, otherwise, he would be truly finished. However, when Pei Ling sees Jin Sumian lying aside, his heart instantly sinks. It doesn't look like everything is fine at all. In a panic, Pei Ling has a sudden idea. Since she loves alchemy so much, there must be several healing pills at home. Thus, a scene of one exhibitionist hugging another exhibitionist, rummaging around the house, unfolds. After searching for a while, Pei Ling actually finds a bottle of soul calming pill. The soul calming pill is good at calming the mind and nourishing the soul. The user will sleep continuously for a month, nourishing the soul and cultivating the spirit in their dreams. The situation is critical at the moment, so Pei Ling can only let Jin Sumian take this pill. He can only hope that no one will come looking for her during this month. After she recovers, he can find a way to apologize. Suddenly, a knocking sound is heard at the door. Pei Ling is instantly startled and breaks out in a cold sweat. Indeed, things have manifested so quickly. Reluctantly, Pei Ling has no choice but to open the door. The person at the door is Jin Sumian's senior sister, Liu Qiang. Pei Ling can only lie and say that Jin Sumian is currently resting and unable to receive guests. Seeing that Liu Qiang doesn't recognize him, Pei Ling instantly comes up with a plan. In an extremely narcissistic manner, he says, "It seems Jin Sumian hasn't told you about our relationship, right?" Liu Qiang, taken aback, naturally doesn't believe it. Jin Sumian, who is usually proud and arrogant, how could she be interested in an insignificant person like Pei Ling, who is only at the 7th layer of the foundation establishment realm? Moreover, she and Jin Sumian are like sisters. How could she not know about such a matter between them? Seeing that Liu Qiang is not falling for it, Pei Ling immediately suggests that they are about to engage in intimate activities with Jin Sumian in the bedroom. Could it be that the reason Liu Qiang doesn't want to leave is that she wants to witness it firsthand? Looking at Pei Ling's lecherous expression, Liu Qiang instantly becomes unsettled. She absolutely won't allow anyone to defile her sister like this. Enraged, Liu Qiang raises her hand, using the 9 white bone claw technique. In his panic, Pei Ling uses the vampire vanishing technique to subdue Liu Qiang. Liu Qiang is greatly astonished in her heart. I am at the 8th layer of the foundation establishment realm, yet he can suppress me instantly in a higher level battle. Such terrifying talent can indeed meet Jin Sumian's standards. Could it be that everything he said is true? After calming down, Liu Qiang immediately asks Pei Ling, is Jin Sumian participating in the mission at Hanshir Manor or not? Pei Ling initially wanted to refuse, but after a moment's thought, if he doesn't go, it will inevitably raise suspicion. After much contemplation, Pei Ling can only lie and say that Jin Sumian is currently resting, and he will go in her place to complete the mission. Liu Qiang, believing it to be true, agrees on a time and leaves in a huff. Pei Ling, on the other hand, wears a worried expression. He had seen this mission at the Miscellaneous Commission a month ago. If no one has taken it all this time, it must be extremely dangerous. To protect his own life, Pei Ling immediately decides to go to Jin Jinshan's small courtyard for reinforcements. However, as soon as he arrives at the courtyard, he is drawn to the puppet wooden figures at the entrance. He hadn't noticed them before, and these puppet wooden figures look like they've just been beaten up. But the most important thing now is to find Jin Jinshan for reinforcements. However, the puppet wooden figure informs him the patriarch has left the sect and won't return for a while. Undeterred, Pei Ling hurriedly asks, is senior sister Ouyang here, or anyone else? But the puppet wooden figure replies with the same line, the patriarch has left the sect and won't return for a while. Pei Ling immediately retorts, can't you say something else? You and that idiotic system of mine are siblings, right? However, the response he receives is still the same. Pei Ling is suddenly consumed by anger, and he unleashes his frustration on the puppet wooden figure. Just as he returns to Jin Sumian's cave, Liu Qiang arrives to meet him, leaving Pei Ling with no choice but to accept his fate. What annoys Pei Ling even more is Liu Qiang's sarcastic inquiry. You finished the task so quickly. Although Pei Ling is unwilling, he dares not say much. On the way, Liu Qiang is quite curious about the love story between him and Jin Sumian. To avoid revealing any clues, Pei Ling can only lightly praise Jin Sumian, finally managing to shift the conversation to Hanshir Manor. But then Liu Qiang informs him, among the several groups of cultivators who went to Hanshir Manor for missions, only one person survived.